July 17th, 2023, and my mom passed away July 30th, 2023. This is her certification of death. This is a necklace that my friends bought me to show me that my mom is always with me. A cross with her name on it, and it's beautiful, and I love it. I felt like coming on camera to talk to you guys about some of the hardest things that dealing with grief has come up. It hasn't even been a month. The hardest, I'm gonna try not to choke up. And yes, I know it's okay that I choke up, but I don't want to choke up right now. I think one of the hardest things is coming to the realization that she actually is gone. I'm gonna pour me a glass of wine. Fuck that. You know, I've been trying not to drink when I'm sad. Contemplate, should I drink or not? But honest, God, my dad was an alcoholic, and it's like, I don't want to be like him. But you know what? I'm not going to be like him. I'm not going to be like him. I can never be like him. I'm going to pour me a glass of wine so that I can unwind and cook me some dinner and make this video for you guys and take a shower and prepare myself for a great day that I'm going to have tomorrow and enjoy the great night that I'm having right now. But yeah, as I was saying, one of the hardest parts is the realization that the person you're grieving is actually gone. Thank Chardonnay. The fact that it's like we go every day being comfortable that people are alive. Not saying that's wrong. It's not wrong. It's actually normal. But the problem lies in, usually when I just am having a bad day and I need time to myself, my mom would be texting me, "Hi Janae, are you okay?" I would be kind of annoyed, or not annoyed, but kind of just like, "Yeah, mom, I'm having a day. I'll talk to you later. I need to take this time for myself." And you say those things not realizing how much time y'all actually have left together, alive, on earth. And I have no regrets because I made a lot of time for my mom. Actually, I cherished my time with her like no other because it was always in the back of my mind that she would leave. I understood that so thoroughly that I instantly felt bad when I didn't call her. I always try to text her back. I always think about her. When I'm physically in front of her, I make sure I'm physically there and not somewhere else. I cherish every moment with her. I can truly say that. But it still feels weird not knowing that I'm just living my life and she's in Georgia, okay? And it's like, I just got used to her just being over there and I'm over here, and she's there when I need her and I'm here in my own world. But before she passed, she moved to Miami. So the past month of July was our worlds collided. And I was struggling with that. I was struggling seeing how I'm gonna balance me and her together. And I didn't want her to die. No, I didn't want her to die. But I guess that's the solution that God saw fit. I'm not gonna fight him on that. I'm not. But that's not what I was asking for either. We were asking for a miracle. To be truly honest, we had a pastor come and pray for us. We had all these things. My mom had all these things. She had all these prayers, all these desires. She wanted a miracle. She did not ask to die. Okay, no one asked to die. What am I talking about? I'm just saying she was hopeful. I don't know how hopeful, that's between her and God, but I was hopeful. Was I hopeful enough? I think so. That's the other thing about dealing with grief. You start to question a lot of things. You start to question, did I handle it the right way? Did I actually do everything I could have done? Was there a mishandling? Because she was in the hospital. Did they do something wrong? Was I supposed to follow up with them better? But then you ask all those questions just to come back to the destination that it doesn't matter. She's gone. One of the other hardest parts about dealing with grief is how people think that you should handle it. People tell you you need to let it out. People tell you don't distract yourself, you need to feel it. People tell you it's not going to be easy. People are people who've been through it. The people who haven't been through it don't know what to say, so they just say, I'm sorry, because that's all they can say. And you think, well, what are you sorry for? But you know what they're sorry for. The problem I have with people telling me anything is just that. In this moment, while I'm feeling my way through this, I'm not a person who is not emotionally intelligent. I have been undergoing therapy for about 2 years now, I think. Yeah, 2 years, on and off. It hasn't been like, oh, consistently every month, but when I can, I do. When I need it, I do. And I've had 2 therapists, and both helped me tremendously. I also have a life coach, and she has helped me tremendously. I also do personal development. I also learned a lot from my mom. I read a lot. I absorb a lot. I study a lot. I learn a lot. I think a lot. So we're not talking to a person who is not knowledgeable about emotions. I'm knowledgeable about emotions. I know that it's important to feel, and I know that it's important to push through. Both are equally important. We live in a world that's a paradox. Or how do you say? Duality. Or that saying that goes on the other side of the same coin. It's always 2. There's always yin and yang. It's balance. The reason I'm saying this is because when you're dealing with grief, people start to worry about you. They worry, is this going to consume her? Is she going to spiral out? Is she going to not be able to go on? Which are valid worries. But I want to come back to the point of who I am right now. Now, had I lost my mom in 2020 or before 2020, then you should worry. Because I had not undergone all of the changes that made me who I am right now, this moment. I've always been this person this way, but I pushed myself past a threshold the year of 2021 where I learned so much. I hit rock bottom financially and emotionally and physically. I literally lost my hair for the first time ever. And I learned a lot about myself and who I am and what I'm capable of. And I'm still learning every day. But I say all this to say that one of the hardest parts of dealing with grief is when people tell you how to feel. And honestly, the only person who can tell you how to feel is you. Especially if you're emotionally intelligent. This is specifically if you are emotionally intelligent. Because there are other people who are not emotionally intelligent, and you should worry about them because they will distract themselves and they will use alcohol as a crutch, and they will do things that do anything just to not feel the pain that they're feeling, not just because of grief, but because that's what they've been doing for everything in their life. They had a bad day, they drink. They got broken up with, they smoke. Whatever. Smoking is nothing wrong with smoking. It's nothing wrong with drinking. I'm just saying, when people use something else to get over what they're going through, it becomes a habit. So yes, of course, that's what happens when they deal with grief. Any negative emotion they feel, they use something else to not feel the emotion. One of the most number one things you'll learn when you start getting into learning about emotions is that you learn that they don't, okay, let me reframe this. Emotions come and go. That's just emotions. Feelings, emotions come and go. They're like clouds. They're passing by. Trauma does not come and go. Trauma is something that I want to pull up the actual definition and place it in here, because trauma is something that you have consistently, this is off my dome, you guys, that you have consistently endured for an amount of time, or something totally out of the ordinary that is totally, that like changes the whole, it's so pivotal for your life. It changes the whole trajectory of your life. Something like getting to a car accident that you almost lose your life in, or that disables you in some way, that's traumatic. Something like being raped, that's traumatic. You could be raped one time and it's still trauma. You could be raped from 4 to 8 years old and it's trauma. Trauma is something that does not come and go. Trauma is something that once it happens, or after it happens, you're going to continue to feel the feeling of it over and over and over again, because you're going to come across different triggers. And the way life works is, until you actually do the work, you will continue being triggered. Even sometimes when you've done the work, you will continue being triggered. And it's random. It could be a stranger. It could be an item. It could be nothing. Your brain. You could just think about it. And you're like, what the? Trauma is something that you must go through in order to get through. It's not something you can distract yourself from and think that it'll be okay all the time, because it's something that's going to creep in on you in the middle of the night. And it's something that's going to creep in when you least expect it and when you least want it, usually. Trauma is something you have to deal with. You have to feel it. Emotions and feelings are something that you can control to an extent. You can't control that the emotion or feeling comes to you, but you can control what you do with it. For instance, the feeling of anger, the emotion of anger. Sometimes people make you angry. They trigger the anger in you, and they didn't mean to. It just comes. A person who does not know that anger is a tool will use anger and blow up on that person. They may throw a tantrum, they may throw things, they may say mean things, and it's because they got angry. Well, you made me mad. A person that recognizes that anger is a tool breathes through the feeling. They ask for a moment. I'm gonna need a moment. I'm feeling a little more heated right now than I'd like to, and I'm gonna take a step away from this. People may try to manipulate you. People may try to provoke you. But if you're a person who is in tune with your emotions and you know that your emotions are passing, you wait for them to pass. We're coming a full circle moment here. Okay, I'm coming to it. One of the hardest things about dealing with grief is when people tell you how to feel because they don't know how to feel. Because they haven't worked through their emotions. Because they did not undergo the personal development, the intellectual, the emotional, intellectuality, intelligence work that you did. And they are worried for you because they think that you're going to let it consume you. And that it's going to sneak up on you like trauma does. And that's one of the hardest things because it makes you start to question, is it? Am I going crazy? No. I'm making this video for the people who do the work, the people who have worked on themselves, the people who think outside of the box. I'm doing this video for you guys because if you're watching this, I think that's you. No one can tell you how to feel but you. Okay? Yes, it is important to allow yourself to feel your emotions. You allow yourself to feel your emotions. When and where you choose to feel those emotions is totally up to you, and don't let anyone decide that for you. When do I feel my emotions? Y'all saw me just start breaking down at the beginning of this video. I usually feel my emotions when I'm driving in the car alone, or when I'm in my bed alone, or in my house alone. Yes, I feel my emotions alone. Why? Because I don't want my emotions to, navigate. Words are not coming to me, but I don't want my emotions to dictate how my interactions go with people. Yes, my emotions can lead me to a connection with people, but my emotions do not have to dictate the relationship, meaning that we only share this connection because I was vulnerable, because I was emotional in front of you. I'm not going to use the word vulnerable because I'm always vulnerable. I'm always honest. Me coming on here and doing this video right now, after I just sat here and looked at this death certificate of my mom, this is a vulnerable moment. This is a vulnerable moment. I'm posting this video to the public, and this is vulnerable. Vulnerability is different from allowing your emotion, like being emotional, okay, and forming, what do they call it, a trauma bond, stuff like that, kind of things like that. Vulnerability is when you're more honest, when you're open, when you are genuine. That's vulnerable because it's almost as if you're showing people who you are, because you are. When you show people who you are, it's really you being vulnerable, because people can take that and use it to their advantage, because now they know you. They know who you are, and they can portray themselves to be somebody who's on your side when they're really not. That's another story for another day. What I'm talking about right here is I choose to show my emotions on my own, usually, because I understand that they're raw, and I don't want to be swayed. Sometimes people know what to say, yes, and sometimes people don't know what to say. And sometimes people try to make me feel better when I'm crying, and it makes them feel uncomfortable when I cry. And that's not at all my intention when I cry. So that's why I prefer to cry alone, because I don't like how people react when I cry. Some people I do cry in front of. It's one of those things where it's like you feel it when you feel it, or sometimes, like I said, it outbursts. And when that happens, I let it out and I pull it back together. I breathe. I let it out and I pull it back together. So my whole point is, dealing with grief, you have to kind of choose on how you want to deal with it and what's healthy for you. Because for me, and who my mom was, and who she stood for, and who she raised me to be, and who I genuinely am, I'm a type of person who always sees the whole picture. Okay? Something very bad happened right here. Something very bad. And this had to happen to get to the amazing portion of this. Am I going to stop and focus right here? And stop right here? No. I got to get to here. So that means I'm gonna moving, rolling on a river. All right, rolling. Okay. My point on saying that is, my mom made me to be a person who is like, I'm gonna see the positive in it regardless. I may have a moment or two or three. I'm always gonna have a moment. I'm human. But I'm always going to pull it back together also. I'm always going to push. Because I have a vision. And I have something that God gave me. And I can't explain these things. I don't understand how or why or when or where. I just understand the what. And that's all I need to know. Is the what. The what is what made me pick up this phone and film this video for you today. That is the what. Why? I could not tell you. Maybe because I feel that somebody needs to hear this. Maybe because I needed to hear it. Maybe because I needed a release. I needed to talk. And what better person to talk to than myself? Especially when I'm going through something like this. And everywhere I turn, people are telling me how I should be dealing with it. That's one of the most difficult things with grief. People worry about you because it almost starts to make you worry about yourself unnecessarily, to the point where I was asking myself, am I grieving wrong? And my therapist made a good point. She said, buckle up. She said, this is going to be a ride, okay? You may be fine right here, and then there's going to be a dip. You're going to whoop, ooh, in a slow build. And it'll whoop, ooh. It's like that Doja Cat song. Life can take you high, yeah. Then you're feeling low. Bet you're going to go up and down. Kind of like a yo-yo. That's exactly the gist of what I'm trying to say is right now. Life is like the ocean. It's gonna go in and out, whoosh, and out, storm behind the car. It's a ride, and I'm just gonna ride the waves, okay? I'm just gonna find joy in what I can find joy in. When I'm sad, I'm gonna be sad. And when I'm happy, I'm gonna be happy. And when you see me going and going and going, I appreciate so much those who check in on me. It's important. It's so important to have your circle the way I have my circle, that I feel so supported. But I don't want people to be misled. I understand the importance of my emotions. I understand that this was a huge pivotal moment in my life. I understand that I will never not miss this woman. God, not a moment passes that I don't miss this woman. I can't ignore that. I can't pretend that. It hurts. It does. But I have to trust that it was on some grand scheme of things. I have to trust that she wanted this to happen, that she decided for this to happen. And I have to trust that she is following her purpose on being in heaven right now. She needed to be in heaven right now to fulfill her purpose. To fulfill, it's like, what do they call that moment? What do they call that moment on Spider-Man? What do they call that thing? I forgot the word, but anyways. It's like when Auntie May and the uncle, the grandpa, whoever had to die every time in every Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse. They had to die. It was can't think of the word. But this is that for me. I think on every timeline, my mom had to be my mom. Her soul had to collide with my soul and had to make me who I am so that I can move on and fulfill this destiny. So, for anyone dealing with grief right now, just know, if you're in shambles right now and you are in a lot of pain and you have no idea how you're gonna go on the rest of your life without your person, I want you to think about them. Think about everything they stood for. Think about who they were for you. If not for you, around you. Think about what their legacy is, what their symbol is, what they symbolize. And you should start to feel chills. You should start to feel a hunger inside of you. And it's something that pushes you, catapults you rather, to your destiny, to your legacy. You needed that person, and you had that person, and you loved that person, and they loved you. And you will continue to have that person in a different realm. You will continue to love that person in a different realm. You will continue to grow a relationship with that person in a different realm, a spiritual realm, a powerful realm. Not by might, not by power, by your spirit, God. Send your spirit, God. But you'll get through this. Yes, you're gonna miss them. Yes, you're gonna cry. You're gonna hurt. You're gonna ask why. But if you can think of your feelings and your grief, even, and your emotions as a cloud that's passing by, you will get through this, because you will know down there's clear skies. These just have to pass by. And grief, I'd like to think of it as a storm, a huge, gray, big black cloud that is going to take some time to pass. It's going to rain, it's going to stop raining, it's going to come back, it's going to rain, it's like you don't know, are you gonna rain or you're not gonna rain? It's just a huge ugly cloud. that slowly disappears. And then the new cloud comes in. And that cloud may come back. It may storm again. Because that's what's life about. Storms. But they pass. They do pass. And even if you're not emotionally intelligent enough to know that, and I'm only saying that to say, because a lot of people have not worked through what they've been through. So it's not that I'm calling you dumb. It's not that I'm calling you incompetent. Nothing. You'll get there. You will get there. Like, you will get there. When you want to. When you allow yourself to. When you try to. You'll get there. It's inevitable. For some people, they deliberately choose not to. So they won't get there. But that's not you, because you're watching this video. So, even if you're not to that point where you know all these things that I know about your emotions and about life, rather, and I'm not gonna say I know everything, because I don't know everything, and I don't know how I'll be next month. That's the beauty of life, is not knowing. But I know what I know now, and I feel like I'll only know more later. So, and I know a lot now, and I'm grateful for all that I know and all that I've learned. But it's something I seem to always understand. It's that later will be better. Later will be better. I'm always looking forward to next. And I know that seems like very hungry and very like, it's not that I don't appreciate what is now, but sometimes what is now sucks. And the only thing I can look at is there must be something better later. And you think, what if, some people think, what if it's not better later? That's another video for another day, because your thoughts do create the reality that you live in. And if you tend to think on the what if it doesn't get better, then it is more likely to not get better. But I seem to always think and believe that it must be better. And I can say that it is better. It is empty right now. But 2 months ago it wasn't. 3 months ago it wasn't. So it must get better. So if you don't believe that right now, if you don't know all these things that I just talked about in this video right now, if you don't take anything else that I said from this video right now, I want you to take the fact that your emotions and your feelings and your grief is a cloud. It's passing by. And it will pass, because that's what emotions do. Now, if you have experienced trauma with the death of your loved one, that is something that you need to work through. That is something that will not pass. If there is unresolved trauma that you experience in dealings with this person who is now gone, that is something that you may not get over until you try, until you work, until you feel the pain that is so excruciating, and then it will become an emotion that will pass. Does that make sense? I pray to God that makes sense, because I said a whole lot in this video just to make the point that the way that you deal with grief is that you just deal with it in your way, not in the way they tell you to, not in the way they think you should, in the way that you feel that you should, in the way that is true to you and who you are and what you need in this moment right now. If that is taking a month off and crying every day, then you do that. If that is throwing yourself into work, then you do that. Because I trust that you feel these emotions. I know you feel them. When they come, feel them and let them go. That's all you can do. Feel them. Feel the emotions. Cry and let it go. Thanks for tuning in. I hope that you guys appreciate this video. I hope that I helped someone. If I did, drop it in the comments if you want to. Like, subscribe, share, and just stay tuned on this journey of life. Bye for now.